The SEC welcomes Texas and Oklahoma in 2024 in what could be one of the most competitive seasons ever in the SEC. You've got, in my opinion, 12 or 13 teams in this conference that would probably be in the top 25 at the end of the season if they played in the Big 12 or the ACC. I mean, that's how good this conference and how deep this conference is going to be this season. We're going to run through our predictions, show you how the standings will look based off of our predictions. So we've gone through every single team, done videos for every single team, game by game, all those predictions. We've done that. And now we've done the ACC, Big 12, Big 10 recaps. We'll finish things off right here with the SEC and, of course, give you our SEC championship prediction as well. So, yeah, this conference is deep. It's loaded. And we'll start at the top. Georgia and Texas, in my opinion, finish at the top. Texas, when all is said and done, might not be the second best team in the SEC, but I like the way their schedule sets up, and I think they can get to 11-1. Their only loss coming to Georgia. I think Georgia maybe loses to Ole Miss, but both of these teams should be right there at 11-1. That's my prediction for the SEC championship game, and of course, both of these teams going to be really good this season. Obviously, with Georgia, we know. I mean, I know their schedule's tough, but we know they're probably going to be there. I mean, worst case scenario for them is probably 10-2. Texas, you do have a few more questions about them with some roster turnover, but I like what they've added and the transfer portal, and I think they're going to be just fine. So those are my top two teams. Then we've got LSU and Ole Miss right behind them. Both teams finishing 6-2 in the SEC. So I've got LSU at 9-3. I changed my prediction on the Tigers. I had them at 10-2, but I wound up giving USC another win and LSU a loss. Does that mean necessarily that I'm changing my pick for that game? Well, no. Maybe we're changing. Well, I guess it would have to be because LSU doesn't have any other. They don't have any other non-conference games that they're going to lose. So that's just kind of the way we've got the predictions. Again, overall record is the main goal when I do my predictions. So if we change the conference game, let's say maybe I switch the LSU-Alabama game, then there's gonna be a domino effect there. Alabama then would have another win. That would possibly put them up to 10-2. We've got Alabama at 9-3. I'll show you them in a second. But I dropped LSU to 9-3. I just with their schedule, I look at that USC game, that Alabama game, that Ole Miss game. I've got them winning all those games. I just started thinking, they're probably going to lose one of those games. So 9-3 for LSU, 6-2 though in the SEC. That could very easily be 5-3 in the SEC if they do beat USC. But Ole Miss at 10-2, 6-2 in the conference. Like the way their schedule sets up. And again, I had them losing to LSU, and then I think we had them slipping up and losing to Arkansas. Now I can't even remember. It's been a while since we did those predictions. But those are the top four. Again, Georgia and Texas are the front runners, and then I think LSU and Ole Miss behind them. But really, this next group of teams, all of them have a shot. I mean, all of these teams have a shot. It's a huge, huge logjam here with Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, Missouri, and Texas A&M. All of these teams I have finishing 9-3 overall, 5-3 in the SEC. And other than Auburn and maybe Missouri, well, yeah, I don't think Auburn and Missouri are going to have much of a chance to get to the SEC championship. But with Alabama, Tennessee, and Texas A&M, I think those teams have a shot. Really love the way the schedule sets up for Texas A&M. A little bit tougher for Alabama, or perhaps I would have them in the SEC championship. And then Tennessee, they've got a really good shot. So it's going to be very interesting. I know Georgia, Texas kind of feel like the favorites. I'm just going along with the crowd, it seems like. But that may not be, I would not be surprised at all if that's not the way it goes. I could definitely see Ole Miss or potentially LSU even, or Tennessee or Alabama or Texas A&M. I could see any of those teams getting to the SEC championship. But as far as record goes, again, 9-3 for these teams. Auburn and Missouri, I think, are the benefits of easier schedules. Their schedules are not too tough. Same thing with Texas A&M. Alabama and Tennessee maybe a little bit tougher schedules. So if we were ranking these teams, I think Alabama and Tennessee and Texas A&M would be the teams ranked ahead of Auburn and Missouri in this scenario. So, but as far as the standings go, the records, this is how we've got it. It's a big time tie, 5-way tie here for 5th place. And so then we go to the next team. That's going to be Oklahoma, finishing 7-5, 3-5 in the SEC. And you talk about tough schedules. Their schedule is absolutely brutal. It's probably, other than Florida, probably the toughest schedule in the SEC. As far as the conference schedules go, they don't have a very tough non-conference schedule. So yeah, I've got them at just 3-5. That seems crazy because you look at this team and you think this is not a 3-5 team in the SEC. They are better than that. But when you look at their schedule, it's tough to find more than 3 or 4 wins. So I've got them at 7-5. You could see them maybe getting to 8-4, but again, I think the schedule is going to hold the Sooners back. And then also at 3-5, Kentucky, Florida, and Arkansas, they would be tied. Kentucky 7-5 overall, Florida and Arkansas 6-6 overall. Both of these teams getting to a bowl game, which means that we've got what, 3 teams? 3 teams missing out on a bowl game, and I think I did this in the Big Ten as well. Probably too many bowl eligible teams. But I really think it could go this way because I think you've got 2 teams at the bottom that are pretty much automatic wins, which is going to fuel those other teams and help more teams to get to bowl games. Because, again, there are a couple of really bad teams, and even South Carolina I don't think is going to be very good. I do have them getting 1 win, but that's over Vanderbilt, 4-8 overall, 1-7 in the SEC. So, yeah, I mean, it could actually play out this way unless South Carolina, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt turn out to be better than I think, and they're able to win a few games. You could really see 13 teams out of the SEC make a bowl game. And as of right now, that's what I'm predicting. So Gamecocks come in at 4-8. I think then below them, Mississippi State and Vanderbilt. Both teams 0-8 in the SEC, 3-9 overall. Vandy, and we have both of them losing a non-conference game as well. So to me, those 2 teams are clearly at the bottom. South Carolina is closer to Arkansas than they are Mississippi State, but their schedule does not set up very well for them. Again, you see the record-wise, I've got them closer to Mississippi State and Vanderbilt, but I think as far as how good this team is going to be, they're actually going to be closer to Arkansas. So Gamecocks there, again, at 4-8. The Mississippi State and Vandy at 3-9. So our SEC championship is Georgia and Florida. All right, this will be a rematch from the regular season. Should be a great game here in the regular season. In my predictions, I did pick Georgia to win this game. And we talked about this. I think I just said it on the Big Ten video. When you have rematches in the conference championship games, everyone thinks it's hard to beat a team twice, but history tells us that the team that won the first time more than likely is going to win the rematch. And I think that's what happens here. I just think Georgia's the better team. I do think there's a little bit of a gap between Georgia and the rest of the SEC. When you've got an elite quarterback in Carson Beck and you've got all the talent and depth that they have, I think this is the best team in the SEC. I think they win the SEC championship over Texas. But again, like, I could see Georgia winning the national championship and not even making it to the SEC championship because of the way their schedule sets up. You know, they could slip up and lose to Alabama, let's say, and then Ole Miss or Texas in the regular season. A lot of tough road games for the Bulldogs. So they could finish with a couple of losses, and then maybe you see like Ole Miss and Texas or Ole Miss and Alabama in the SEC championship. So that's the crazy thing here. Again, Georgia could win the national championship or at least get to the national championship game and not even play in the SEC championship. And that's just shows you how important schedules are. And we've talked about that many, many times. But I've got Georgia winning the SEC. I think they get it done and get probably the #1 overall seed in the playoffs. But we'll do our playoff predictions tomorrow. So watch for that video. And, of course, give me your SEC predictions down in the comments below.